right. Pardon me. I was just enjoying a little bit of Question Tequila. We are, of course, in the Question Tequila studios here in New York City. And John is at our Southern Command, breaking down all the latest news, financial, political, sports, otherwise. John, 52%, according to a new Gallup poll, think President Trump should be removed from office. I know you're very much in that fighting 48%. Do these polling numbers concern you at all?
Well, Frank, you and I have talked about this a lot. The polls were completely wrong leading up to the 2016 election. Most of the polls you see, they're kind of slanted to the left. You see these polls that are coming out of these leftist-type organizations that you look on the bottom with the methodology for the poll. It usually says registered voters, and we all know there are more registered Democrats than registered Republicans, so the poll's already skewed for Democrats, 52%. I don't know what exactly the methodology was on this poll, but most of the polls they use have a 3.5 to 5% margin of error. So when I hear a 52%, that's leaning more Democrat from the sample size, and a 3.5 to 5% margin of error, it very well could be 45 for impeachment, 55 for not impeachment. But even if it's 52 in the margin of error, the minority is for impeachment, and the majority remains, leave us alone with all this crap and let the guy govern.
But you know what's interesting is I think that the vast majority of people that didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016, they not only preferred another candidate, they really disliked Donald Trump. So I think what you're seeing is basically the people that didn't vote for Trump, they're the ones saying he should be removed from office. It's not as if this has grown at all. Now, what percentage of the vote did Donald Trump get in 2016? He got 46% of the vote in 2016. That means 54% of Americans preferred another candidate. So what we're seeing is those same 54% of the people just saying we still don't like this guy. It's not exactly the kind of momentum shift that a lot of people are portraying it as.
Yeah, Frank, and you know what? If you really think about it and go back to what I was talking about with the sample size and the methodology, you're on the money. Let's say 54% of America voted against him. Well, here's the fun fact. The poll could actually be telling us that some of those 54% are now for Trump.
Right.
Because if you get the margin of error wrong and you're at 48, that means he's moved up 6 points.
Well, and it's possible.
Those people who hated him.
Look, it's possible there are some honest brokers out there like Alan Dershowitz and others who didn't vote for Trump but also don't think he should be removed from office. By the way, who thought to bring this tequila up to the studio? The Question XO. Whose idea? Was that your idea, Patrice? We're giving you a raise. Do we pay you? We do? When was the last time you got paid? You haven't been paid yet. Okay. So you're intending on being paid. We don't necessarily pay you yet. Talk to the guys around here. You'll see how that goes. All right,
Frank. You know,
one
of these days, I'm going to do something that you're not going to like. I'm going to print out a list of checks. Money is you, but I'm saying right. there's some medium between what Frank tells you and what the facts are related to his pay.
This is true,
and he's on the money.
This is true. All right. Speaking of money, John, I thought the president was way on the money yesterday in talking about this serious situation, not only the substance of what he was saying, but how he said it. Now, yesterday, the House voted overwhelmingly, bipartisan, Democrat and Republican, to condemn President Trump's decision to remove troops from Syria. I think there were 60 that voted against the resolution. Pretty much everybody else voted in favor of the resolution. By the way, just as an aside, I wonder where all these people were when it would have been nice to call for a vote on sending the troops there. That, nobody said anything about voting, but now that we're bringing the troops home, now people are saying, wait a minute, we got to have a vote. It's very curious to me. But this was the president yesterday describing the Kurdish situation in northern Syria. Take a look.
The Kurds are much safer right now, but the Kurds know how to fight. And as I said, they're not angels. They're not angels. If you take a look, you have to go back and take a look. But they fought with us. We paid a lot of money for them to fight with us, and that's okay. They did well when they fought with us. They didn't do so well when they didn't fight with us.
I thought the president was absolutely on the money there, John. And, you know, the sad reality of the Middle East is there are no good guys. Everybody is a level of bad guy.
Without a doubt. Frank, this whole situation there with the Sunni Syrians, the Sunni Muslims, the Iraqis, the Syrians, the Russians, it reminds me of the final scene in Reservoir Dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, you don't know who to shoot.
Guns
You're right.
at each other, right? Everybody's like this. Who's going first? And then one of these days, one of them is going to pop the trigger, and everybody else is going to bring. It's like, I think they call it a Mexican ring, when everybody's got their guns out like this, pointed at someone else. It's just crazy. And for all, George Bush, all I can remember is the Democrats are always screaming to bring our troops back, shut Guantanamo, bring people back from Afghanistan. We're bringing our soldiers back here. We're pulling them out of the middle of a tumultuous situation. I think I heard someone the other day saying there's only like between 50 and 100 true soldiers. There's a lot more military, a lot more intelligence and stuff there. The Kurds have been our allies. There have been times where they acted like they were our allies, but they weren't being as forthright with us as they should have been. Trump said it perfectly. They haven't always been angels. They've fought with us. They've done well. They've fought not with us. They haven't done well. There's got to come a time where the president is allowed to keep his campaign promises, and that's bringing back the brave men and women of our fighting forces out of harm's way, out of a confusing and tumultuous situation, back here where they belong, and maybe help us keep our nations and our borders safe rather than being in the middle of a crossfire between a whole big religious war. It's really a religious war, Frank, if you ask me.
Well, it's certainly one way to look at it, and I'm just glad that there are fewer American troops that are going to be killed in Syria. I'm not willing to expend one American life to protect the Kurds, quite frankly. I'm sorry if that sounds callous, but that's, frankly speaking, how I feel. Now, when we return, we may or may not be joined by Martha Bonetta to comment on President Trump's efforts at religious freedom and ensuring religious freedom, which he's very, very enthusiastic about. John Tabacco is in Florida. I'm Frank Moreno here in New York. If you want to weigh in on any of our discussion, you can find us on Twitter at Liquid Lunch TV. That's Liquid Lunch TV. If you're not following us on Twitter, we would appreciate a follow. We're trying to get more followers than Kim Kardashian. So far, it's slow going. And you can also find us on Facebook at Liquid Lunch TV. I'm Frank Moreno. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV.